In today's video, we'll be going over the dry fire simulators. What is good for what I want to do, or what you want to do. This is, for the last 2 years, I've been posting out different simulators and showing reviews on them and showing them in action. And I know it could be a difficult journey to try and figure out, okay, I'm looking to be better in this, what is out there? And then there are just tons of different options out there. And we're going to go over that to help maybe narrow it down for you. And a 4-part video series broken up into different sections, which we'll get into later. So basically, yeah, I shouldn't have Googled that. Because once you do, then there's just so many options out there that comes out. It sometimes just become completely overwhelming. And, some of this stuff is not cheap. It's sometimes it's hard to justify. Yeah, I want to pay $400, $1,000 for this package, and unless you're like 100% real serious and you're going to be going into it and using it, your dry fire practice, you want to improve your current dry fire practice, make it more interesting, then it's worth it. If you're going to be practicing every day, sometimes the same drill gets boring and you need to spice it up a little bit, and these help. So if you do it 4 or 5 times a week, then you're saving a lot of money overall from the live fire doing the same thing, even with 100, 200 rounds. So in time, it does pay off, and you do notice a difference by dry firing more and having more challenges in your dry fire sessions. So when you Google it, or when I Googled it, a lot of things came up. There's iDryFire. They have the regular and the pro. It comes with the software and a camera, so that's kind of helpful. It has the same package. You can just hook up to your computer, run with it. iMarksman, they have the same ordeal. They're also part of iDryFire, so they have packages with camera and the software that you buy, or if you already have the camera system, then you just buy the software, which save a couple $100 on that as well. They do have a number of stuff out there for competition and games. Dry Fire Online, it's pretty much all browser based, so you can set up stages, use their stages, or set up some of your own. It uses your phone, your Android or iPhone. Has a little app on there that will allow you to use that as your camera to capture where the laser is going at. Shooting Soft, they have a number of ones for games, for personal protection, and for competition shooter. Their packages also have the ability to work with a new camera, or one of their cameras, or another camera with use of their detection software. It can get pretty detailed on that, but they also have a good number of products out there. Point Blank Simulator, I was not able to test this one out. It's also subscription based. Dry Fire Online reached out to me. They said, hey, try us out, sort of thing. So I've been trying them out and posting stuff about them. Point Blank Simulator, I didn't feel like going into subscription, so I didn't get myself involved in that one. Mantis had some, but I already had some stuff that was kind of similar to it with the iDryFire stuff, so I didn't get into that as well. Laser Ammo has a number of different stuff. First thing you got to really purchase is the smokeless range, which is the main application to their whole suite of things. And the smokeless range also comes with a camera, and you can calibrate your camera through that same software package, and then the rest of these options are available. If you install it on your machine, then they are available to select from the main menu. The smokeless range itself comes with a set of games and marksmanship stuff on its own, and then you can start adding in extra stuff to help with Steel Challenge or IPSC or /USPSA, or their M range, which is kind of more of a instructor kind of course. From what I've tried out and Red. I don't own that one. Open range, they're fast draw, they have video scenario, tactical targets, game, range alpha, and western shooter. So like I said, what we will go over is the ones I have access to. So there'll be the iDrive-Fire regular, iMarksman, fast draw, their game pack, and their Scholastic action shooting program. Dry-Fire Online, Shooting Soft Pro Target Constructor, Pro Tactical Constructor, their basic games and their games under fire. We'll not be going over Point Blank Simulator or Mantis. With laser ammo, we'll be going over their smokeless range. Steel Challenge, IPSC, their open range, and that's about the only ones I have of their stuff right now. So some of the categories that are going to be broken down to is, what most people are looking for, or even what I was looking for, is the ability to play some games, have some fun with the dry fire, improve my trigger finger and coordination, improve marksmanship on static targets and even moving targets, practice and improve on for my competitions, and personal security, especially nowadays, is a big concern on everyone. Some of this stuff can also be very handy if you want to train other people, and if you're in a security firm, you want to help training with other people. You could set up a lot of this stuff in a separate room in your office and just practice. Also, if you're military, law enforcement, some of this stuff might come in handy. Or if you're just a armed citizen that's just looking to make sure you can perform under fire, based different scenarios that pop out that you can perform under fire, and at least try and help you train for that situation. So like I said earlier, we will be breaking a lot of this stuff down into 4 separate videos, because these are going to be a little bit long, and don't want to waste an hour or plus of your time if that's what it comes out to in the end on all these things. So we're going to break it down and release them separately. First one will be about games. The next one will be about marksmanship. The third one will be about competition, and the last one will be about personal security. Talking about the other points, basically took about 8 minutes so far. So as you can see, it's best to break this stuff up, and I will try and post them out pretty close together, so you can at least view this one day, next day, and see what games is about. Or if you're not really caring about the games, and you can go to marksmanship or whatever category that ends up being released, you can watch when it releases. So stay tuned, and we'll release the rest of these videos. Welcome to part 1 of our dry fire simulators. What is good for me video series, 1 of 4. This one will be going to the simulators for games. Why bother? I'm a competition shooter. Why bother with games? Well, it does help build hand-eye coordination. You'll have moving targets and targets in transition depending on the game. There's good general practice of marksmanship, so you get to really just hone in on making sure you got a good grip, you're seeing the sights, you got a good trigger press. And all the pulls on the trigger for games, you really do help build that trigger finger strength. You got a cert pistol, then it's going to be, they're still good 5 pounds, and if you're shooting something like a laser light universal barrel insert and using it on a Beretta 92, that's a double action pull every time, or even with a revolver, double action pull every time. So you're pulling maybe 6-7 pounds every time. That builds up quite a bit of strength. They're also fun. So you can have, dry fire tends, after a while, people can get burned out of it because you're practicing you know, maybe the same set of drills, even if you went through 50 in the last 2 years and you're having to re-go back through rotation, you know, sometimes it can get a little boring and you get a little burnout. And these games help with, at least still, you can be able to dry fire and make it fun. So at least you can, you know, 1 week just do some games and then go back to drills so you just don't get burned out. And some of these games also allows you to have fun with friends and family. So if, you know, dry fire on a barbecue on a rainy day or something, or a snowy day, then even the friends and family go into the room and just compete against each other. And, you know, it doesn't cost a lot of money for a bunch of people to just be shooting a bunch of lasers down at the screen, and it's still fun. So some of the simulators that this section will cover, the ones we got, is the iMarksman 10 game pack, laser ammo smokeless range, shooting soft 25 basic games, and shooting soft games under fire. First up is the iMarksman game pack. This is 10 games that will help with the trigger strength, hand-eye coordination, target movement, and transition, and it's fun to play. They all are single-player based. So let's take a look at some of their games here and actual practice. Next up, we have laser ammo smokeless range. When you buy the smokeless range, it's about $500–600 package. Comes with the camera, comes with the smokeless range. You have 10 basic kind of games that you could play with: bomb blast, you know, target, you know, can toss, a dueling tree. That's always fun with 2 people. There's just regular target shooting. If you just want to practice shooting at a target and see your splits and first draw shot and everything else. You know, some trap shooting, shooting at clays flying, match target drills and moving targets, and speed and tracking and transition drills. These do allow up to 2 players, and it will do split screen. So if you you know, someone else wanted to do bomb blast, you can both shoot at bomb blast and see who got more targets than the other person within a certain time frame. Same with, you know, can toss, trap shooting, match drill. You know, all these you can pretty much will just have a split screen, and you and a family member or friend can shoot at them at the same time, see who's the better. So let's take a look at some of these. Next up is Shooting Soft 25 Basic Games. Their package pretty much, I mean, it does have 25 basic games that on the screen it'll come up and be, 5 courses of fire 1, go to the right, be another 5, 5 pages of 5 games each. These help out with, your general marksmanship, trigger finger strength, hand-eye coordination, target movement and transition, and a lot of them are fun to play. They allow up to 4 players, 2-player split screen. So let's throw out a couple of practice on this and let you see how it looks. Next up is another one of Shooting Soft's packages called Games Under Fire. Basically 16 games that help out with trigger finger strength, hand-eye coordination, target movement, and transition. Another thing that's fun to play, it allows up to 4 players. It kind of does, it has 2 different modes, as you can see on the picture below. There's arcade mode, which is there's no friendly fire and you can't be killed. While in simulator mode, you have health, so you can be killed, and there is friendly fire. And in some of these videos, you'll see what we mean by how you can actually get friendly fire. It's more of a first-person shooter game, and you do have teammates, and there's also hostages that tend to run out of the blue depending on what scenario you pick. There's bad guys that you got to shoot at, and they're moving and coming out from everywhere, coming out of cover. It's a good challenge. It's a good game challenge. So let's take a look at that. This concludes our simulators for games of the which simulators are good for me section. I hope some of this was informational, and next video we'll go over the marksmanship, the applications that I have that will be handy for marksmanship. Till next time. Welcome to part 3 of the Which Dry Fire Simulator is Good for Me series. And the first one, there was the intro. The second one, we had games, and now we are coming over the simulators for marksmanship. For those that want to get better. Some of these you might have seen in the game selection. That's because they have drills that can also help with particular shot placement, reporting, and target transitions. In this section, we'll review the following products: the iDryFire, iMarksman 10 games, and Fast Draw game, or their simulator game. Shooting Soft 25 basic games, dryfireonline.com, and Laser Ammo's Smokeless Range, which was also covered in the games, and their open range. First off is the iDryFire simulator. This app will allow you to set up targets on the back wall, and you pretty much just point a web camera or their camera at it, and you use their software. So you just pretty much, and you can set it to a certain number of shots and seconds that you want to do, and then you can also have a timer and repeat the same drill over and over again. So you can have something like a bill drill set up, and with the limited number of shots. When you hit that last shot, it will stop the timer. And then you can also see how, if you start clicking on the screen, it will show you your first shot, your splits, and all the way up to the very end shot. You can also see if you're like jerking a bit with the laser. It's got some really good information out there to help you just try and make sure you got proper technique and grip, and you pretty much you are looking at your own shot alignment, but if it's shooting exactly where you think you need to see it. So let's take a look at some of the iDryFire. For 2 years now. I mostly use it for miscellaneous pistol drills and fast draw for USPSA and IDPA. It's been a great training tool for my trigger control, my sights, and to see how if I'm jerking the gun on transitions or on the trigger pull. It's a highly used product that I use pretty much 5 days a week, and I recommend it to anyone that wants to improve on their shooting. Next up is the iMarksman's Game Pack. This was covered in games, but there's at least 3 in this section that will help with shooting targets fast and deal with transitions and target identification. These will be the speed drill, the target jar, and the flying rings. A lot of these will, like the speed drill, will help you with just target identification, and same with the target jar, except the target jar will have smaller, bigger to smaller targets, where the speed drill is the same size target all the way around. And of course the flying rings, that one, those targets, you're pretty much just trying to shoot a target that's moving. So you'd have to aim ahead on the target, or lead the target and fire just to hit the target, and this comes in handy for a number of sports, or even just being able to shoot something that's moving. Let's take a look at those 3 simulators from the iMarksman games. Next up is the iMarksman Fast Draw. Fast Draw is a handy little simulator that will allow you to shoot at a steel plate when the buzzer goes off and record your first shot on draw time. This is handy if you want to get better in your first shot on the draw for IDPA, USPSA, or Cowboy Fast Action or Fast Draw practice. It's also something, if you wanted to, you could start practicing shooting at the hip for fun. But it will record your times over the entire sessions, or for a very long time until you tell it to clear, so you can see if you're getting better or if you're getting better and then you start to fall off. It also allows you to go back and see where your shot placement was. So initially you can start off on the white, like, yeah, you know, at least I'm hitting the plate, and then you can try and narrow it down to, like, I want to hit that yellow right in the center in that yellow spot. It's a very handy app that I use a lot next to the iDriveFire for first draw shot practice. So let's take a little look at the video for this. Now I'll take a look at some of the Shooting Soft's 25 basic games. This is another one that you've also seen in the game part, but it does also have some, at least the first 10 sections, like exercise 1 to 10, have some stuff that will at least allow you to shoot at it and see your groupings, and it helps with target transition. Even, you know, some of these targets will just appear at a different section, and you got to shoot it, and at the end it will sum it up to show you, like, yeah, every time you at least hit in the black, or, you know, there's one stray on the white. Some of them also have little games where you can just quickly identify your target as it changes around the screen. So let's take a look at some of those exercises in the Shooting Soft 25 basic games. Another simulator for dry fire marksmanship is Dry Fire Online. This does have a number of pre-built stages that you can practice your general marksmanship, and even some stuff for certain competitions like GSSF, IDPA, Steel Challenge. It even allows you to create your own stages. at least in a flat plane area. You can do moving targets. It's very good for being able to just set up the stage and practice some drills. And you can see your split time, the first shot, and the split times. One of the pluses about this is that you could use your phone. Use one of their apps for your iPhone or your Android, and you can use that as a camera to detect the laser. It also pairs up with the site, so a lot of this, of course, requires online access on your machine, but you put Projector on the wall, bring up a browser, and it will display the course of fire. Fairly easy to use. There's some videos out there on the whole review and setup process of it. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that can help you with marksmanship on dryfireonline.com. Next up is the laser ammo smokeless range, another one that was covered in games, but just like the iMarksman and the Shooting Soft, there are some stuff in here that will help you with target transition, moving targets, as well as static target that you can use to practice your general marksmanship. Some of these will be, like the speed drill, moving targets, the tracking drill, transition drill, even the matching target. Of course, also just a target shooting will allow you to have a static target up there, and you can, at buzzer, shoot at the IDPA target. You can also change targets on that and see the splits on that. So let's take a look at the laser ammo smokeless range. Next up is another simulator for marksmanship, the laser ammo open range. This is an add-on to the smokeless range, so but it also has a number of drills that come with it that will help with marksmanship and movement, or if you incorporate movement into it. In certain drills, move from engage 3 targets, move from one part to the other, engage them again. But so you can also create your own movement. But this also allows you to create your own stages. Some of the other things with the Open 2 Media Manager, you can even import your own targets and do a drill and create your own drill using your own targets. If you have a drill book or see something on the internet, you can add that drill in there, and it's available for you to use. Let's take a look at some of the open range. So this concludes our simulators for marksmanship. Um, as we went over, some of them can also be handy for games and for marksmanship. So next up on the next video, we will be covering the simulators for competition. So stay tuned for the next video. Welcome to part 4 of our Which Simulator is Good for Me series. On this one, we're going to cover the competition side. Before it was with marksman, and the second one was on games. So now we're up to the competitions, and yes, there are some that are actually good for competitive shooters. And this one will be going over the Shooting Soft Pro Target Constructor, Laser Ammo Steel Challenge, Laser Ammo IPSC, iMarksman Scholastic Action Shooting Program, iMarksman Fast Draw for those that are into cowboy shooting, iDryFire and iDryFire Online. Shooting Soft's Pro Target Constructor, this is pretty much one that I live in a lot. The Pro Target Constructor allows you to create stages with certain move points, so you can actually create up a full stage and just run through it and set up the points like, yeah, I want to move over to the right and engage these targets, and then move over center and then left or further down on the course. You can set it up to be just like the match courses of fire that they have out there on USPSA. You can set it up exactly like that and how you would execute it. So when time comes to actually shoot that stage at a match, then it's very familiar to you. Even though sometimes there might be little changes you might have to make up, and sometimes the distances might be different, but overall it's like, yeah, I remember this stage, I practiced this stage, I ran through it on dry fire using the Pro Target Constructor to remember how the stage is and how I'm going to execute it. Let's take a quick look at some of Pro Target Constructor. We'll probably do a quick video on the building and running through it with and the simulator on the stage. The builder is important, and so I'm going to put this one in here. The builder is important, so I'm adding it in this one. It might add a little more time, and it will be going a little bit faster, but you'll see how I use it to build a stage. The next one in our list here is Laser Ammo Steel Challenge. This is another one that I practice for, and I pretty much live in when steel challenge matches come up, the regular or state. It has all your 8 stages, the classifiers in steel challenge that you could practice with, and even has the ability to move. So some of the like outer limits, when you have to move from left or right to center for the last 3 pieces of steel, it will do that too, so you can practice your movement, and the target position also changes, so you can actually, it'd be very similar to what you experience in real life. And same with Showdown, where the first 2 is on the left side and the last 3 on the right. And I know some people switch that up, but they don't have a setting there to go, hey, I want to do 2 or this many on left and this many on right, and vice versa. But it still gives you the same view that you would as you were in a steel challenge. So let's take a look at a couple of those stages. Next up is Laser Ammo's IPSC. This has a static 10-stage coursifier for USPSA/IPSC style stages. So if you're new to it, or you want to start going into USPSA or IPSC, this simulator is a good way to get practice, at least with some of the targets. If you shoot one target, there's a swinger, there's some targets that pop up, there's your poppers, there's your IPSC targets, your I believe some USPSA targets, and some others. You got your Texas Star. You got a number of different kind of targets that you will come in contact with over time in USPSA, and it at least helps you be ready for going from one section of a stage to another and engaging those targets. So it's a good starting point if you are going into USPSA or IPSC or even IDPA, since IDPA is the same and you can just do your concealment practice without it. Of course, this is going to expose you, so there's no trying to hide from the targets as an IDPA, but still a good starting point to practice for USPSA and IPSC. Let's run through some of those stages. Next up is the iMarksman Scholastic Action Shooting Program. This simulator is good for, if you have any kids, if you're a coach, or if you have any kids that are into the Scholastic Action Shooting Program. I believe even some college students too. And it's a good way to, so they can practice at home, or if you do not have access to a range all the time or every day for the kids, you can set it up in a room or a gym and they can practice dry firing at the targets as they would in the actual match when it comes up. So let's run through a couple of those real quick so you can see how it looks. Next up is the iMarksman Fast Draw. If you're into cowboy fast draw competition, then this is a good one for you to practice, or even if you just want to practice at your draw speed for USPSA, IDPA, any of the action shooting sports, or even steel. You can at least be able to practice your drawing and see how fast you're going on the first shot. It has an auto reset, so you can just keep going through it. And even if you want to practice shooting at the hip, if you're not a cowboy action shooter or cowboy fast draw shooter, then you can practice from the hip with this as well. It keeps a log of all your times, and you can, as you scroll through it, you can see where it's shot, so you can go, okay, initially I want to at least hit the white plate, and then I want to narrow that down to the yellow section, so you can actually go back in your past scores to see if you're actually getting better, or if you're, reach your point and then you start to fall down. So let's take a quick video on this. Probably will look familiar for you. You saw the Marksman one. The video will look the same. So you can skip through it or let it go through. Let's take a look at it. Next up is the iDryFire app. The iDryFire app allows you to print and set up targets and put them up on the wall, and you can set your how much time and shots total that you want for that session. And so if you had 4 targets and you wanted 2 shots each, so you would set or let's just say 5 targets for what's on the screenshot, 5 targets, 2 shots each. Then so that's a total of 10 shots, so you set your thing at 10. And then the number of seconds that you want to execute that in, and hit start and run through it. It will track for the lasers hitting, so you can see if it hit exactly where you want it to on the target or not. It would also see if you're jerking it a bit. There'll be a line, so you can see if it's jerking some. You can set up some of the static, older kind of classifiers that are, or even any kind of static kind of that's very short stages that you could set up on your wall there, like El Presidente, or even the 5x5. You can practice that and just manually record your times, but you can use this to practice for the class fire matches, or even just kind of like single stage matches or single stage courses of fire that is out there, and see how you do, and set your time limit to, you can just keep reducing your time to push yourself. So it's handy for that part in competition. Let's run through this one as well. For 2 years now. I mostly use it for miscellaneous pistol drills and fast draw for USPSA and IDPA. It's been a great training tool for my trigger control, my sights, and to see how, if I'm jerking the gun on transitions or on trigger pull. It's a highly used product that I use pretty much 5 days a week. And I recommend it to anyone that wants to improve on their shooting.
Are you ready? Stand by. Are you ready? Stand by.
And lastly, we are going to look at Dry Fire Online. DryFireOnline.com allows you to use your phone as a camera, which is kind of handy, and of course your computer and a projector to put up on the wall. It does have a number of drills that you can use, as well as some stages from GSSF and Steel Challenge, so you can practice for those. And it's also where you can also kind of like iDryFire, you can set up certain stages like El Presidente, any of the classifiers, that kind of static. It does allow you for some waypoints, which will allow you to have targets move across, so you can even practice for movers or whatnot. That's like an IDPA or USPSA. Some of those are set. It's also another handy tool that's a little more compact, considering you can just use a computer, projector, and your phone for the camera. So let's take a look at a couple of those stages. And that concludes part 4 of our Which Dry Fire Simulator is Good for Me, on covering the competition, the simulators that are good for competitions. Next up is part 5, which will be pretty much relating to anyone in security, law enforcement, or even just the armed citizen. There are some simulators out there that are pretty good for that. There's some that I just don't have access to. The ones I do have access to, I'm going to pretty much show it, which would be the Shooting Sauce Pro Tactical Constructor. But there's also some other ones out there that I just have not had the ability to play with. But if you're interested in the ones for personal protection, security, police, or the armed citizen, stay tuned for part 5. of the series, which would be the end of it. Welcome to What Simulator is Good for Me, Part 5 of the series. This one will be covering any kind of simulators that are related to security police or the armed citizen. There is actually some other ones from that I didn't list in the initial part from Laser Ammo iMarksman. Laser Ammo has a video scenario trainer, which is good for, have a targets, just turn and shoot, and you can create your own videos to simulate if someone, pick someone who's going to turn on, who's going to be a threat in the crowd, sort of thing. And iMarksman has some kind of force-on-force video scenario trainer as well. I did not get my hands on those. Those were a little bit more pricier, and I'm more of a competition shooter. And I spent pretty much the majority of the money into the Pro Target Constructor to begin with, and I just, I'm not into the, I have no reason to use the security based products. However, Shooting Soft was nice enough to send me their Pro Tactical Constructor to try out and run with related to this topic. So if you are in the security police or armed citizen category, Shooting Soft Pro Tactical Constructor might be for you. It comes with a number of terror hostage scenarios that you could practice, or you can even create your own. Just like the Pro Target Constructor, it allows you to create your own stages. You can have a bad guy here and have a parameter where they either stay still or they move within this parameter. You can also set up non-threats or no-shoots in other terms. But if the civilian pretty much that you place in there is within range of the bad guy, they can become a target or a hostage in that situation where they may or may not grab that person and use them as a hostage. You have to try and have a smaller headshot and not hit the hostage. It's very impressive the way they did it, and I'll show you the videos which were posted beforehand. So if you've never seen them beforehand, then you'll see them now. It'll basically go over the builder and some of the stages, basically, or scenarios. The Pro Tactical Constructor gives you the ability to make your own scenarios. It comes with a number of base locations, such as an office, a warehouse, an airplane, an airport, and a marketplace. These locations already have its own kind of map, so it gives you the ability to cycle through certain areas of that location and put your hostages and hostiles in the locations that you need them to, and of course give them the actions that you want them to do, either run around as a hostage or just patrol or take a hostage or attack her and so forth. In this scenario, we're going to set up an office environment where, let's say we're in our cubicle, and then we have someone that's next to us that's going to end up being frantic, and a hostile that's near the area. It allows you to set the area that they're going to walk in, both the civilian and the hostile. If these two areas overlap and you have a hostile that's moving around and that's for attack, that's in the same circle parameter of the hostage, there's a chance that the hostile will take the hostage or take the civilian as a hostage, and you have to deal with that. Sometimes it will happen, sometimes it won't. It's pretty random. It's brilliant, really. And so you have to deal with that, and then you can have it set up in different positions, just like the Pro Target Constructor. You can do different positions to move over and engage multiple targets as you go through the office to try and clear it out. You can also set up how each individual person looks, how the hostages look, how the hostiles look. You can set up the civilians to be either just in panic mode or still, or they can even be and set of allies that are going to help and have the option to see if they're going to be doing damage to the hostiles as well. So let's just finish up this one. We'll save and run through it to see how it looks. Afterwards, you can see where you hit your enemies at, and you'll also be able to check the civilians to see if you hit them or if they're alive. Screw you, buddy. This concludes our series of the which simulator is good for me. I hope some of it has been informational for you and you're able to see some stuff in action. As you can see, a lot of them have their own place and some kind of cross over into others, sports or practice styles if you want to become a marksman, or if you just want to play games or want to do both, and even for some for competition shooting, that is also very good. Also some that are good for police security or the armed citizen. So I hope this helps you out a lot. Till next time.